At my brother's wedding, my seat was with the kids. My mother smirked. Only family will sit with the adults. Worse, it was outside the main auditorium. My sister added, "You are a common plumber. You can't be family." So I stood up, took my gift, and left. Hello. Thank you for your continuous support. This means a lot to us. If you enjoy the stories we share, kindly subscribe to this channel. It will be great if you can leave a comment on which city you are watching from. We might just give you a shout-out in our next story. Today's special shout-out goes to Trish Scott from Manchester City, UK. We are glad you enjoy our stories. Now let's dive into the details of today's story. I showed up to my brother Tom's wedding with a gift I'd scraped together over weeks, a custom tool set for his new house, wrapped tight in silver paper. I'd pictured him opening it, maybe even thanking me for once. Instead, I found my name on a flimsy card at the kids' table, shoved outside the main auditorium like an afterthought. The chairs wobbled, sticky with juice stains, while the real party hummed inside, laughter, clinking glasses, the family I'd grown up with. I sat there, tied too tight, feeling every eye that wasn't on me. My mother caught me staring toward the auditorium and sauntered over, her smirk sharp as a blade. "Only family will sit with the adults," she said, voice dripping with that old superiority she'd honed over years. She adjusted her pearls, like that made her better than me, a guy who fixed pipes for a living. I clenched the gift in my lap, heat rising in my chest, but I stayed quiet. She'd always had a way of cutting me down, ever since I'd picked up a wrench instead of a college degree. Then my sister Ellen chimed in, leaning over the table with a grin that didn't reach her eyes. "You're a common plumber, Jake," she said, loud enough for the kids to giggle. "You can't be family." That word, family, hit like a punch. I'd spent years proving I was more than their punching bag, hauling tools through mud to keep a roof over my head. But to them, I was still the runt who didn't fit. The kids laughed harder, and something in me snapped. I didn't yell, didn't make a scene. I just stood, the chair scraping behind me, and grabbed the tool set. My hand shook, but my voice didn't when I muttered, "Fine." The auditorium chatter dipped as I turned, every step toward the exit heavier than the last. My father's voice cut through soft, half-hearted. "Wait, Jake." I didn't look back. He'd never stood up for me before, not when Mom sneered or Ellen mocked. Why would he now? The gift thumped against my leg as I pushed through the double doors. Outside, the parking lot stretched empty under the venue's glow. I unlocked my truck, an old beat-up thing that smelled of rust and hard work, and slid inside. The tool set landed on the passenger seat, silver paper crinkling like it was mocking me too. I could still hear the wedding music, applause, like a world I'd never belonged to. My fingers gripped the wheel, knuckles white. I'd given them everything: time, loyalty, even that damn gift, and they'd shoved me out with the kids. I was done. I started the engine, the rumble drowning out the faint call of my name. Maybe Dad again, maybe not. It didn't matter. I'd spent 30 years chasing their approval, fixing their leaks while they laughed behind my back. No more. I wasn't cutting them off, not yet, but I swore I'd never step foot in their world again. The truck rolled forward, tires crunching gravel, and I left the lights of the venue in the rear view. That gift? It'd stay unopened, just like their chance to make this right. The highway stretched ahead, dark and quiet, my headlights carving a path through it. I didn't cry, plumbers don't leak, not where anyone can see, but my chest burned. Mom's smirk flashed in my mind, Ellen's words echoing like a bad tune. They thought I was nothing, a grease-stained nobody. Fine, let them think that. I'd build something they couldn't ignore, something bigger than their petty tables. The road hummed under me, and for the first time, I felt free, not from them, but from needing them. By the time I hit my apartment, a cramped box with a sagging couch, I'd made up my mind. I tossed the tool set onto a shelf, its silver glinting in the dim light. It wasn't about revenge, not then. It was about me. I'd show up for myself, wrench in hand, and let them choke on their own words. The wedding was their party, but this was my life. I kicked off my shoes, the silence settling around me, and knew I'd never beg for a seat again. I lay on that couch, staring at the ceiling, replaying it all: the table, the smirks, the walkout. Part of me wanted to go back, to prove I could take it, but that part was small and shrinking. They'd drawn a line, and I'd crossed it, out of their circle, into something else. I didn't know what yet, But it started here, alone, with a gift they'd never deserve. The truck keys sat heavy in my pocket, a reminder I could drive away from anything, even them. I woke up the morning after Tom's wedding with a headache and a fire I couldn't shake. My apartment was a mess, tools scattered, bills piled, but I didn't care. I pulled on my work boots, grabbed my wrench, and hit the road. The first job was a leaky sink at some diner, the kind of gig that barely paid the rent. I crawled under the counter, grease smearing my shirt, and fixed it fast. The owner grunted a thanks, slid me $40, and I was out. That was my life, pipes, sweat, and no applause. Days turned into weeks, and I kept moving. I'd always been good with my hands, ever since Dad showed me how to tighten a faucet when I was 10. Back then, he'd ruffled my hair and called me clever. Now, he just watched Mom and Ellen tear me down. I shook off the memory, focusing on the jobs. A busted water heater here, a clogged drain there. Clients didn't care about my last name or my seat at a wedding. They cared that I showed up. And I did, every time. Nights were different. After work, I'd sit on that sagging couch with a beer and a notebook, scribbling ideas. I wasn't just a plumber anymore. I wanted to be the plumber. I'd seen guys in the trade coast by, but I couldn't. Not after that night. I started reading up on business, cheap paperbacks from the library about startups and hustle. My handwriting was awful, but the plans grew: bigger jobs, better tools, maybe even a crew. Mom's smirk fueled me. I'd make her eat that common jab. One day, an old guy named Hank called me for a job. He'd been fixing pipes since before I was born, hands gnarled like tree roots. His shop's main line had burst, flooding the floor. I waded in, found the break, and patched it clean. Afterward, he offered me coffee in a chipped mug. "Pipes hold the world together," he said, eyeing my work. "Don't let anyone tell you different." I nodded, the words sticking. He didn't know my story, but he saw something in me. That meant more than any family toast. The diner owner called again a month later. His whole system was shot. I showed up with a plan, not just a wrench. I replaced the pipes, rerouted the pressure, and had it running smoother than ever. He shook my hand, said he'd tell his buddies about me. Word spread slow at first. Jake the plumber, Jake who gets it done. I started charging more, saving every extra dollar. My truck got a tune-up. My tools got sharper. I wasn't rich, but I wasn't begging either. That felt like power. Ellen's voice still echoed sometimes, common plumber, but I turned it into fuel. I'd fix a toilet and picture her face, smug and wrong. I took a night class once a week, some community college thing on small business. The teacher was dry, but I soaked it up: taxes, permits, branding. I doodled a logo in the margins: Flowmaster Plumbing. It sounded big, like something they couldn't laugh off. I'd mutter it to myself driving home, letting it settle. This was mine, not theirs. The breakthrough came 6 months after the wedding. A restaurant chain needed a full plumbing overhaul, 3 locations, tight deadline. I bid low, worked nights, and called in a favor from Hank for extra hands. We finished on time, pipes gleaming, water flowing like clockwork. The manager wrote me a check that made my jaw drop. I stared at it in the truck, numbers blurring. This wasn't just a job, it was a step. I'd built something real, something they couldn't touch. That night, I slept hard, dreaming of more. I didn't tell my family. Didn't need to. But rumors must have trickled back. Tom's wife asking about me, maybe, or Dad fishing for news. I heard Mom called my old number once, left a voicemail I deleted unheard. Good. Let them wonder. I was too busy stacking cash, planning the next move. My apartment stayed a dump, but my bank account didn't. I'd sit there, counting what I'd earned, and feel the weight of that kid's table lift a little more each time. One evening, I filed the papers. Flowmaster Plumbing became official. My name on the letterhead. My sketch turned into a real logo. I pinned the certificate above my couch, a quiet middle finger to the auditorium I'd walked out of. I wasn't there yet, still just me and a truck, but I could see it. A crew, a warehouse, a name they'd have to reckon with. Hank's words rang true. Pipes held the world together, and I was damn good at them. That was enough for now. Years after I walked out of Tom's wedding, Flowmaster Plumbing wasn't just a name on a truck anymore. It was a force. I'd moved out of that cramped apartment into a small office, walls lined with blueprints and a desk buried in contracts. We'd landed gigs fixing schools, offices, even a hospital wing. I'd started pitching eco-friendly pipes. Less waste, lower bills, and clients ate it up. My crew grew from me and Hank to 8 guys, all hustlers like I'd been. I'd built this brick by brick, and nobody could call it common now. I met Sarah on a job, a supplier delivering copper fittings, her clipboard sharp and her smile sharper. She'd caught me cursing at a busted valve, laughed, and said, "You're too good at this to lose it over that." We clicked fast. Her no-nonsense vibe matched mine. Dates turned into late nights talking about everything but my family. She didn't push when I dodged those questions, just nodded like she got it. A year later, I proposed in my truck, ring in a glove box. She said yes, and I knew I'd found my real home. We got married quiet. No big venue, no kids' table. Just us, a judge, and a couple friends from the crew. Sarah wore a dress she'd picked off the rack, and I wore a tie that didn't choke me. Our daughter, Lily, came a year after that, then our son, Max. I'd come home from jobs, grease on my hands, and scoop them up, their giggles erasing the old echoes of Ellen's sneers. This was family, messy, loud mine. I'd never let them feel what I'd felt. The house came next, a solid 2-story in a neighborhood across town. I didn't tell Mom or Dad or anyone where it was. They didn't deserve to know. I'd paid cash, every cent from Flowmaster, and walked through it like a king. Sarah hung pictures. Us, the kids, my crew, and I fixed the pipes myself, making sure nothing leaked. It was my fortress, walls thick enough to keep the past out. I'd sit on the porch sometimes, watching Lily chase Max, and feel the weight of that wedding night finally lift. Then Mom called. I'd changed my number, but she'd tracked me down, probably through some cousin I'd forgotten. Her voice was syrupy, fake warm. "Jake, we miss you," she said, like years of silence hadn't passed. I leaned against my desk, jaw tight, and let her ramble. She didn't ask about my life, just hinted at hers, how things were tough. I cut her off. "I'm okay not being family." She stammered, but I hung up. That smirk of hers flashed in my mind, and I smiled. She didn't own me anymore. They kept trying. Ellen sent a text once, short, demanding, "Call me." I didn't. Dad left a voicemail, his voice shaky, asking how I was. I deleted it. Then Mom called again, bolder this time. "We could use some help, Jake. Money's tight." I laughed, cold and quick. "Ask the adults," I said, same as always. She went quiet, then clicked off. I pictured her face, shocked, maybe angry, and felt nothing but relief. They'd built their cage. I wasn't unlocking it. Flowmaster kept climbing. We snagged a city contract, new pipes for a housing project, beating out bigger firms. I'd walk the sites, hard hat on, barking orders, and catch my reflection in a window, a man who'd made it. Clients knew my name now, shook my hand like it mattered. Sarah handled the books sometimes, her pen flying over numbers, and we'd laugh about how far we'd come. I'd built this life. Pipes, family, pride, and they couldn't touch it, no matter how hard they begged. The calls got desperate. Tom reached out once, voice tight, asking for a loan. Business went bad, he mumbled. I remembered his wedding, that gift I'd walked away with, and said, "Ask Mom. She's got the family table." He hung up fast. They'd heard the rumors, Flowmaster in the papers, my name on trucks, and it ate at them. Good. Let it. I wasn't hiding my success. I just wasn't sharing it. They'd toss me out, and I'd landed better. Nights, I'd tuck Lily and Max in, their small hands grabbing mine. "Daddy fixes things," Lily said once, eyes wide. I nodded, throat tight. "Yeah, I do." I'd fixed more than pipes. Fixed myself. Built a world where nobody got left at the kids' table. Sarah would find me after, kiss my cheek, and we'd sit quiet, TV low. This was enough. The old family. They were ghosts now, clawing at a door I'd locked long ago. I didn't need them. I never would. Life was good, better than I'd ever dreamed. Until they started talking. Flowmaster Plumbing had hit its stride, trucks rolling across the city, my name on every job site. I'd walk into meetings with city planners, hard hat swapped for a clipboard, and they'd nod like I belonged. Sarah and the kids kept me grounded, Lily's drawings taped to my office wall, Max's toy wrench in my truck. We'd landed a massive contract, a whole downtown block needing new pipes, and I could feel it. This was the peak. Then the whisper started, faint but sharp. like a leak I couldn't find. It began with a client, a guy I'd worked with for years. He called to cancel a job, voice clipped. Heard some stuff, Jake, he said, about your family. I pressed him, but he dodged, muttering about rumors before hanging up. I brushed it off. People talk, always will, but then another call dropped. A supplier hesitated on a shipment, citing concerns. I stood in my office, staring at the phone, gut twisting. I'd built this company clean, every pipe laid right. What the hell were they hearing? Sarah caught wind first. She'd been out with Max at the store when some woman, old friend of Mom's, cornered her. She said you abandoned your parents, Sarah told me that night, her brow tight. Called you cold. I laughed, bitter and short. Abandoned? They'd shoved me out years ago, smirking over their auditorium table. But the story was spreading, Mom playing the victim, Ellen fanning the flames. I pictured them at some family dinner, spinning lies about poor Jake, the ungrateful son. It'd be funny if it wasn't hitting my business. Then Ellen went public. I got a call from a crew guy, Tim, solid worker, saying he'd seen it online. She'd posted a rant on some local forum. My brother's a selfish prick. Made it big and left us to rot. She tagged Flowmaster, dragged my name through it. Comments piled up, some defending me, most swallowing her sob story. I read it on my phone, jaw locked. Sarah rubbing my shoulder. She's jealous, she said. I nodded, but the damage was ticking up, clients pulling back, a rival firm sniffing around my contracts. The downtown deal teetered. The project head, a suit named Carter, called me in. What's this about your family, Jake? He asked, tapping a pen. I kept it short. They're mad I won't bankroll them. That's it. He squinted, unconvinced. Looks bad, he said. We need trust. I walked out, fist balled, feeling the ground shift. I'd fought for every inch of this. Years of late nights, busted knuckles, and now their garbage was clawing it down. I wasn't losing this, not to them. Mom doubled down. She started calling around old neighbors, guys I'd gone to school with, spinning her tale. Jake turned his back on us, she'd say, voice quivering for effect. I got a text from a buddy I hadn't seen in years. Your mom says you're wicked, man. True. I didn't reply. Wicked? For building a life after they trashed me? I drove home that night, knuckles white on the wheel, and told Sarah everything. She hugged me tight. They're scared of you, she said. Maybe. But scared or not, they were drawing blood. The breaking point hit when a rival, some slick outfit called Apex, used it against me. They pitched Carter, whispering about unreliable Flowmaster. I caught wind from Tim, who'd overheard it at a bar. Apex wanted my contract, and Ellen's lies were their ammo. I stood in my office, staring at Lily's drawings, and felt the old burn, same as that wedding night. They couldn't beat me fair, so they'd cheat. Fine. I'd fought dirtier battles under sinks. But I needed to hit back, hard. Then the call came, a reporter from Channel 9, big local station. Heard about your rise, Jake, she said. And the family stuff. Want to talk? I froze. I'd kept quiet, let my work speak. But now? Now they were choking me with their mess. Sarah nodded from across the room. Do it. I thought of Lily, Max, the crew counting on me. Yeah, I said. I'll talk. She said it for the next day, live on air. I hung up, pulse pounding. This was my shot. I didn't sleep that night. Sat up with a coffee, running it through my head. What I'd say, how I'd say it. I wasn't begging for pity. I was setting it straight. Mom, Ellen, all of them. They'd painted me as the villain. Tomorrow, I'd show who they really were. I kissed Sarah's forehead as she slept, then checked on the kids, their soft breathing steadying me. This wasn't just for me anymore. It was for them, my real family. The clock hit 3 a.m., and I knew. I was ready. Morning came fast. I pulled on a clean shirt, no tie, no games, and drove to the studio. The reporter, a woman named Dana, shook my hand, mic clipped to her collar. No script, she said. Just tell it. I nodded, throat dry, and sat under the lights. The camera blinked red, Dana leaned in, and I started. Let me tell you what really happened, I said, voice steady. The words poured out, years of it, and I didn't stop. They'd hear it all now, every damn thing. I sat under those studio lights, camera rolling, and let it all out. I walked out of my brother's wedding. I started, voice steady, because my family put me at the kids' table, outside, like I didn't count. Dana, the reporter, nodded, letting me roll. I told them about Mom's smirk, only family sits with the adults, and Ellen's jab, common plumber. I kept it simple, no tears, just facts. They threw me away, I said, so I built something better. The room stayed quiet, but I could feel it, people listening, judging. I was done hiding. I dropped the hammer next. Years later, Mom begged for money, I said. Once, I asked her for $50, tools I needed. She laughed, said no. Now she wanted thousands. Dana's eyes widened, but I didn't stop. Ellen called me wicked online, said I abandoned them. Truth is, they abandoned me first. I leaned forward, staring straight into the lens. I don't hate them. I just don't need them. The words hung there, heavy, final. I sat back, chest lighter than it had been in years. The red light blinked off. The interview aired that night. Sarah and I watched it on the couch, kids asleep upstairs. My phone buzzed, Tim first, texting, "Boss, you killed it." Then clients, old friends, even strangers. The station posted it online, and it spread fast. Comments rolled in. That's real. They got what they deserved. By morning, Flowmaster's inbox was full support. New jobs. Carter called too, voice firm. Downtown's yours, Jake. Apex is out. I grinned, squeezing Sarah's hand. The smear had backfired. They'd lost. Mom went silent after that. No calls, no pleas. I heard through a cousin she'd watched it, face red, slamming doors. Ellen's post got buried under replies calling her out. People who'd known me, known the truth. Tom tried damage control, muttering to someone at a bar that I'd exaggerated. Nobody bought it. The city turned on them, not me. Clients shook my hand harder now, like I'd earned something extra. I had respect, the kind they couldn't fake or steal. Apex slunk off, their bid trashed. I walked the downtown site the next week, crew in tow, laying pipe like we owned the place. We did. Every joint I checked, every line we ran, felt like a brick in my wall, higher, stronger. Sarah brought the kids by one day, Max clutching that toy wrench. Daddy's building, he said, pointing. I hoisted him up, showed him the pipes snaking through the ground. Yeah, kid, I said. And it's ours. That was the win, my family, my way. Dad sent a letter a month later. I found it in the mailbox, his shaky scrawl on the envelope. Jake, it read. I should have stopped them. I'm sorry. Half an apology, half excuse, same old dad. I held it over the trash, then tossed it unopened. He'd stood by too long to matter now. I didn't need his words, not when I had Lily's laugh, Max's questions, Sarah's steady hand. They were my anchor. He was just a ghost. The call stopped for good. No more begging, no more lies. I heard Mom and Ellen moved out of town quietly, tails tucked. Tom's business limped along, but he never reached out again. They gambled on breaking me and lost everything, credibility, connections, me. I didn't gloat. Didn't need to. I'd won by living, by building. Flowmaster trucks rolled everywhere now, my name in bold. The city knew who I was, and it wasn't their version. Nights got easier. I'd come home, kick off my boots, and wrestle with the kids while Sarah cooked. We'd eat together. No tables for adults or kids, just us. One evening, Lily asked, "Why don't we see Grandma?" I paused, then said, "She's far away, and we've got each other." She nodded, happy with that. I was too. The old pain faded, not gone but small, like a crack I'd patched. This was my life now, sealed tight. The final job of the year was big, a new school, pipes for hundreds of kids. I stood on the site, watching my crew finish, the skyline sharp behind them. Sarah pulled up, Lily and Max spilling out. I lifted Max onto my shoulders, pointed at the lines we'd laid. See that? That's ours, I told him. He giggled, and I felt it. Pride, deep and real. I'd fixed more than pipes. I'd fixed me. The past was done, and this was forever. I thought about that wedding sometimes, the gift I'd left on a shelf. It stayed there, unopened, a relic of who I'd been. I didn't need it back then, and I sure didn't now. I'd built a world, Flowmaster, my kids, Sarah, that outshone their auditorium 1,000 times over. They'd tried to bury me, but I'd risen, wrench in hand. And as the sun dipped, casting shadows over the city I'd helped shape, I knew I was enough. If you felt Jake's fight, hit that like button and share this story with someone who's ever been counted out. Subscribe for more tales of grit and triumph. We've got plenty coming. Drop a comment. What's your kid's table moment, and how do you rise above it? Let's build something real together. See you in the next story.